Hey everyone, thank you for joining Bold Voices. I hope that when you listen or look or do both, that you will walk away with some information on investing, maybe buying a home, investing in property, stocks, all this good stuff. Because I have the people here who can just put out all this really wonderful information. So thanks again. I'm Rhonda, PinkDivaStudio. And if you have any questions, please, please, please ask them, ask away, because we don't mind answering questions. I mean, I might not can answer the investment questions, but I know these people can. So we're going to kick it off, and I'm going to welcome Erick. It's his first time here on a Bold Voices podcast. So thank you for taking out time, Erick. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you tell the people who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Erick G. That's my handler tag on Instagram. I'm a licensed realtor and investor. I've done DIYs, I've done fix and flips, and I've also just opened up my consulting business this year that focuses on design for ADUs. So those are the accessory dwelling units,
Oh, wow.
or garage conversions, as most people know to be. I also do investments in terms of the, stock market. I have a decent sized portfolio in real estate, more than 6 units, both in California and out of state. Um, yeah, that's pretty much
Wow. I mean, I
one thing
could have
about
just
me.
sat here and let the list go on and on. But I mean, you learn something every day. And look at all this I learned about you just in a short period of time. Well, Terry, you're up next, and then we're going to let Douglas go after you. Since he's
Okay,
the
great.
birthday boy, we want to, want him to zhuzh it up.
That's right. Well, I'm Terry Lynn Dupree, known as Evolving Always. I've been investing in the stock market and probably about close to 10 years now. I am president of an investment club where we actually pull our money together and we're investing. We have an extensive portfolio of companies that we invest in. And I also have a real estate broker's license that I'm not really working right now. But I am going to be doing something with that like in the near future. I've actually been holding that license for a while. I keep it legal for probably
Wow.
that. Oh my gosh, it's been 20 years now.
Wow. I didn't know it
But
had been that long.
yeah, other things. So yeah, I always keep it active. And thanks for letting me be on your show.
Sure, you're always welcome, darling. And Douglas, happy birthday to you. Happy
Hey,
birthday to you.
thank you very much, guys. It's always amazing blessing to reach 53 years old. So that's a blessing in itself, guys. A lot of people don't reach the age of 20 and 25. So it's a blessing to be at the age of 53. Well, my name is Douglas Dupree, well known as D Expressions, as also a franchise in Staying Beautiful Always. I'm an inspired influencer. I like to keep people pumped and ready and riding and roll. Also a part-time private investigator. I have no reason to investigate anyone on the platform. And also I do a lot of lines of investment from Ship, which is a delivery app, from also owning my own business in the trucking industry, as well as other variety of entrepreneurship. I'm pretty much a self-employed. I invest in myself. So that's
Mm.
my key to success in life, is to always invest in yourself. I'm currently thinking of going into real estate. So I'm working on my real estate license also, like Erick and Terry Lynn.
All
So
right.
hopefully I have that completed within the next year, and to get into the industry that you guys are in, because I hope we can have a unity eventually.
That's
So basically, sir,
amazing.
oh yeah, yeah, the real estate industry is
I'm beginning
advancing,
to feel
and
left
Erick
out.
can tell you all about it. Yeah, Erick's the man.
I'm
So
beginning to feel left out on this real estate thing.
You
you're
have a
not left out. You're not left out. You just catching up.
Oh no, never left out. But I will say, I'm definitely, it is in my future. I'm just already claimed this, that I am going to own me a multiplex, because I actually, that is something I actually want to get into, but Eric, we'll talk about that. But I want to start off this discussion, since we definitely are talking about investing. And the one question that I know, that even when I talk about things, that the small investments I have made, I do have people say, well, why should one invest? And I'm like, well, if nothing else, you invest in your future. But, go ahead, take it away, whomever. Why
Yeah,
should one invest?
yeah, I think you will want to invest because investing at the point in time, the way the economy and ways the industry working today, investing in your future starts with the market. There's so many variety of markets that you can invest in. A lot of people doesn't take the opportunity to see the vast of investments directions out there, but there's so many, from market to real estate, from real estate to just investing in commodity or retail, or just invested in franchise. There's so many ways to invest today, and it gives you so many tools to invest in with just small amount of money. It doesn't take a lot. It just takes a small amount. So if you want to have a way to build up money, to earn dividends, and to earn income without having to sweat your needles, those are the way to go. Invest in others. Invest in real estate. Invest in the market. Invest in let's say stocks. By the way, those are stocks markets. I mean the stocks. Invest in franchise. Invest in other people's businesses, small businesses, not large ones. You want to invest in small business, because those small business become successful. You're talking about crazy dollars coming in your pocket, because a lot of small businesses looking for hidden investors. They're looking for hidden investors to give them something in the background, and they're willing to give you a large amount of percentage back on your income that you actually invested in. So people are not realizing there's so many ways to invest. Investing in your future is the key. It's very important. So look into your options, find your solutions, and invest.
Right. And I think you brought up a good point, because that's the next question that people always ask is, do I need a lot of money? Do I need to seek financial advice? So, I mean, do you need a lot of money? Should you seek financial advice?
It really depends, actually. And I wanted to answer the question too, why to invest. Really, you should invest because it's all about your future, and people are living longer now. So you can't rely on Social Security. And plus, too, you want to create generational wealth. So not only invest in yourself, but if you have children, make sure that you're setting up a portfolio for them. Because it's all about compound interest, which, I don't have to talk about right this second, but if you want to know about it later, we'll definitely discuss what that really adds up to. So definitely everyone should invest. And when it comes to investing, obviously we're going to invest in yourselves too, especially if you're an entrepreneur, but you do want to invest in companies. So we use the term stocks. And I just want everybody to understand there's a difference between investing and trading. Trading, some people do, they're not necessarily investing in companies, they're just trading the market, and they actually make their income, like they're day traders. They may do day trading and swing trading. There's a difference there. But when we're talking about investing, this is when you actually take the time to research companies, find out what good companies are, and invest in these companies, because you're going to be in there for the long term. So you want to pick companies that 10 years from now should be around. Like, I'll just throw one out. Is Apple going to go anywhere? No, Apple's not going to go anywhere. Microsoft, will there ever be a world without Microsoft? No. Just using those as examples. But I'm just saying, you want to pick good companies, and when you do research. And like my husband was saying, it doesn't require a lot of money anymore as it did in the past, because in the past you used to have to pay fees. You used to have to pay fees. So for every trade that you did, you had to pay a commission fee. And so really only people that were middle income on up could actually invest. So now I would even say someone that is considered in a lower income bracket should invest and can invest, because the technology and everything is out there now. You can get all these brokerage companies on your cell phone. You do not have to pay fees to actually buy stock, and you don't have to buy whole stock. So like, you can go into big companies that you're interested in, like Apple, Amazon, Tesla, and you may not have the money to buy a full share, but you can go ahead and start doing fractional shares, and that money is still going to grow. The other thing, the fact of the interest rates actually being hiked, even though it's not great from a financial standpoint as far as goods and things like that we're getting is costing more. Real estate may be obviously an issue too, but still, if you want to buy a house, it's still a good time to buy a house, which I know Eric will talk about that. But anyway, the cool thing about the interest rate being high is if you're in a lower income bracket, definitely even just setting up a savings account, because you get high interest yields savings accounts now, where you can get the high interest rates just from putting your money in a savings account. But I do recommend you definitely purchase companies. And then you were asking, should they get help? Well, it depends on how you are financially. If you have enough finances to possibly get someone to help, then get a financial advisor. Don't get a broker, because brokers are not really there for you. There are some brokers that you can hire, and you will have to pay them commissions to trade for you. That is still out there, but I don't recommend doing that, because they're not really going to be about you. They're going to be about the commissions they earn just from working with you. While if you get a financial advisor, they're really going to be about your finances and everything involved with that. Or you can be a financial coach, like consultant. But really, and real quickly, and I know I'm talking a lot, I apologize. I know, give Eric a chance, but real quick, there's a lot of things that's actually available for free. You go to Investopedia, you can do Yahoo Finance, and you can find out all the information you need to know for companies for free. You can find out their earnings per year. You can listen to earnings calls, and you can find out all this great information about how companies are performing. Therefore, you can make your decision on whether you're going to invest in that company or not. Because when it comes to investing, don't think about stocks. Think about you're buying into a company. And that comes from the world's greatest investor, Warren Buffett. For people, most people should know Warren Buffett anyway. So I did that. And watch, if you're on social media or if you're looking around online, you'll have people that'll come to your DM telling you that they'll, for just such a price, they'll give you all the stocks you need to get. Don't do that.
Yes.
I block them every day, it seems like. Every day. I'm blocking.
Right. And if you need any help,
every time.
Yeah, if you need any help or have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Evolving Always on Instagram. I'll be happy to help you, and you won't have to pay for it. And like I said, if you're going to pay for something, just pay for a financial advisor that really has your best interest. And Eric,
before I ask Eric this question, I'm going to say I'm going to be the spokesperson for the Duprees, because I wouldn't know as much as I did, with about fractional shares and where you could get them, had it not been for them. We talk about companies like Stash and what is the other one? Robin Hood.
Webull.
And I'm on
you got so many of them.
Is it SoFi?
Yep, SoFi. Fidelity,
so I mean, there's just
Lynch.
so many that I learned about through them. So when I say that they know what they're talking about, they know what they're talking about. But Eric, right here, right now, in this time, in how the world is. Well, what do you think about, if I wanted to buy a house right now, is it a good time? Or is it a good time in certain areas? Like I'm here in Texas. So is it good here in Texas? Well, they say it's kind of, but you're in, California. Is it always a good time to buy a house in California?
So to answer your question, it depends on your situation, right? On your financial situation. If you're able to afford it, I would say yes, try to buy a house. And my reasoning behind it is, as of right now, we're at about a 3.4% inflation, the CPI printed this week. Now, the interest rate to buy a house, if you're a first-time home buyer or you're using a conventional loan, is roughly between 7.75% and about 8.25%. That's the interest rate that you're going to pay for a loan. Now, if if you're able to afford it and you go and start looking at houses and you get a loan under that percentage, you lock it in over, I don't know, maybe 3-5 years from now, interest rates could drop and you could potentially refinance. Now, at this current moment in time, a lot of people don't qualify to buy a house. They're not able to. So you have less competition, which means you're able to negotiate things that you weren't able to negotiate in the past. Now, some areas are still hot due to inventory because it goes back to the supply and demand.
Yeah.
But I think right now is a good time to buy if you're able to. Otherwise, I would suggest, staying on the sidelines, building your cash reserves. Like Terry Lynn and Doug were saying, put it in a high yield savings account. You could use companies like Synchrony, Ally, or Ally, however you enunciate it. And then there's also the stock market, right? So you could S&P 500, something like SPY or BYMI or
Lord,
those
I should
funds
have been
that pay.
taking notes. All this, all the alphabets that were just dot. But I'll get some of that information from you. But
Yeah, they're just
now,
stickers.
yeah, now for me, at this stage in my life, I've always said that, I don't want that. I don't want to buy a house right, at this point in time. I wish maybe if I had been in a situation where I could earlier on, because I was always at a point of, no, I'm out here partying, to, oh, well, maybe I'll do it. And then I switched back over to, oh no, now, now I don't even want that mortgage. I mean, I'm 63. I don't want that mortgage, but I could, I still could, and just, go in with my granddaughter, and, that's
So
property that she has.
in your situation, you could do a couple of things. So, for example, you could buy a set of units, you live in one, rent the other one out. That helps offset the mortgage. Then once you're ready to retire, you could refinance the property. So you take that money out and you could pretty much sell the property to your daughter. So, I mean, to your granddaughter, right? That's what you were saying, granddaughter? And then she could take over that mortgage payment. You helped her out because you locked in, a lower rate or a lower price, and you get to cash out on that money. So it still grew over that time that you held it. That's another option.
Wow, that's actually that's the good advice right there.
I mean, it really is. It really is. I really didn't, really didn't think about it on, like that. But that's some food for thought right there. So I might be back on, the
So he's
search.
getting back for his return on your investments constantly.
Yes. Well, I guess that takes me to another question, is that when people are going to seek out, looking for a home, looking to buy a home, I mean, how much does your credit score affect your, impact your home loan?
I think it's as long as you have above what is it, 650, it's gonna be very minimal. It'll be a quarter of a point, half a point. Yeah, and I mean the FHA program is kind of geared towards those individuals that don't have that good of a credit. So I think I can't remember. You'd have to speak with your lender. But I know there's a certain range, and typically FHAs are for those that don't have that good of credit. They also have a lower entry point, because with FHA you could put as low as 3.5% for your down payment. You do have to pay this insurance though as part of the loan, which they claim.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's mortgage insurance. They claim it's to protect you, but it does nothing for you. It's more to protect the lender.
Yeah.
And Rhonda, don't forget about NACA, because NACA works for certain people, like where you have to pay a down payment or even a closing cost. sign up for a webinar. Once you go through that webinar, they're going to work out with you like a budget. And what they're doing for a lot of people is like whatever you're paying for rent, they try to work within those parameters on approving you for a home within those parameters of like whatever you're paying for rent. Because like for example, somebody might be paying $2,000 in rent, and they work within the parameters to get you a home where your monthly payment is within that parameters. But like I said, first you would have to sign up. You have to go through a webinar.
Right.
The webinar would be like an hour, probably about an hour and a half. They're going to give you like a sign on, and then you would have to like do some budgeting. They would have to, see how your budget is, things of that nature. And then it kind of goes from there. So I just thought I'd mention that to you because that might be you or your granddaughter.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we know, we know some people who've gone through that program as
Right.
well. Well, when we're talking about investing, is there a goal that people should set as far as, well, my goal might be buying a house, but if it's not buying a house, or is there a such thing as an investment goal? If we're talking about
Yeah, there's definitely an investment goal. And you brought up a good one. I think like when you're sitting down and you're investing, you need to think about ultimately what are you going to do with that money. And like you said, for some people, it may be to buy a house. For others, it could be FIRE, to financially, to be financially independent and retire early. That could be the other goal. But yeah, you're right. You definitely should have goals, and you should have like a date and time period that you want to get there, and kind of know what you need, how much you're going to be investing, per month, week, however you're going to, position it. So yeah, I definitely.
And I definitely think about researching. I mean, you research, you want to research wherever you're investing.
Right.
Yeah, because because me, for instance, I'm like I tell you, you always want to have a plan. You want to have a plan for your future. A lot of people don't understand. It's just like anything in any business. You want to have a plan on how you want your business to get off the ground. It's just like you want to have a plan on how much you want to accomplish within a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year period. I always focus on 3 to 5, because everybody wants to be out retiring, going out, enjoying themselves, away from all working and hard, shuffling dirt and crazy stuff. At least by 5 years, they want to get it done quick. They want to make money. So I always try to write down on a piece of paper, get myself together, and I figure out my future. I figure out what I want to have in 5 years. Sometimes I do for 3 years, and then I do 5 years. And sometimes I even do 2 years. But always plan how fast you can get that to that goal, how fast you can get to that accomplishment, and level out exactly what you need weekly, what you need per day. Yeah, it's per day too. And what that way you got to go out during that day. You already know your goal for that day. If you exceed your goal for that day, wow, so be it. But you made a plan. You have to plan what your investment is going to be, and you want to have an establishment exactly number that you want to have within that plan that you make. I think it's very important to plan.
I agree. I mean, I'm all about a plan. I just don't understand how you go through life without one. I mean, whether it's you're planning to just go to the grocery store, I just think you have to have a plan. And sometimes you have to veer off course, but you have to zhuzh it up a little different maybe. But a plan is I believe in a plan. So when we're talking about Erick, investing in property, and not just, I'm just talking in general about property. Where do you think someone who wants to buy property, where do you think that they should start?
So it goes back to what their goals are, right? So if your goal is to be, if you're making more than 250,000, I would suggest probably starting in residential, like 4 units, and start building a portfolio. 4 units. You buy fourplex, you live in one, rent the other 3 out, make sure it cash flows. If you're not making at least 250,000, then you want to start flipping. So you want to look for distressed properties, houses that are, beat to the ground that need work. You buy
I
them
would
under
love to
market
do
value,
that.
and you fix them. You fix them yourself. You
Hmm.
put what's called sweat equity into it, and you
Never
either, yeah, you you either use what's known as the BRRRR method, where you buy, rehab, refinance, rinse and repeat, or you just sell it. So you flip it, right? You fix it and then put it on the market.
Well, I definitely know someone who does that. She has done some fantastic uh, work on these homes. And, nine times out of 10, once she's really, before she's even really finished, I mean, she sold this home. And I was just like, that is amazing because I just like doing the interior. I mean, somebody else can do all that other stuff. But I just think I always think that, well, if you flip it, how long do you have a time limit to whatever, what is the word I'm looking for, to refurbish it, to make it look sellable?
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends, right? It depends how you finance the place. So a lot of people, they use hard money loans. So those loans, typically you pay about 10%, anywhere from 10 to 15%, in terms of costs. And then you have anywhere from about 6 to 12 months in order to repay back that amount of money that you borrowed. Um, and then you have that time frame to do whatever it is that you have to do, and sell it so that you're able to get the money from that sale and then repay back that loan, and then whatever's left over is going to be yours.
Look at
Hey,
here.
Rhonda,
I need a partner in crime to help me pull this off.
hey,
So
Rhonda,
that's one option.
Rhonda, can I ask Eric a question?
Oh, go ahead. You don't have to ask. Just jump in.
So, Eric, I'm sure you're familiar with this because I've been researching it, but I don't totally understand how it works because it's something I'm interested in. It's where you meet with someone that wants to sell their home. You agree to purchase it, like y'all do the
Hmm.
paperwork, you make an offer.
Hmm.
Before you even pay it, you get someone else to buy it, but you
Ah.
still make money off of it, even without you even putting any money in that. Is that something that's easy to do, or do you know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's called wholesaling. Um,
Okay.
so the way it works is, say for example, you're a wholesaler, right? And you go to Douglas and you say, "Hey, Doug, I wanna buy your property," and he says, "Okay, give me, I don't know, 200,000," and you're like, "All right, I'll give you." You're like, "Let me do my inspection first." You look at it and you're like, "You know what? Based on this, and this, I could give you 190. Are you okay with that?" And he'll say, "Yeah," he'll agree. Okay, so then you go and you look for an investor. So you could take it to Rhonda and you say, "Hey, I have this property under contract. Um, give me 10K," and you could get it at that price. So she'll get it for the 190, and she'll give you 10K for finding her the deal.
Okay, that's cool. So that means you basically haven't paid any money. You've made a promise to pay, but at a certain date, right? But you just
Correct.
make a buyer before that date, so you're covered. Is that pretty much correct when I say
Yeah,
that?
that's how it works. Yeah. You're
That-
essentially, there's a specific term, but you're transferring your rights to purchase that property. So you're transferring the contract. It's kind of like options.
right. Mm-hmm.
And
I
you
know
actually still,
trading. Yeah.
yeah, you still actually making your 200K back.
Well, and that's like 10,000 just for actually finding a property for somebody. But hey, good.
Yeah, that's 200,000.
Come on with my coins, Terry. Come on with my coins.
I think one of the major problems sometimes, guys. I think because Eric probably agree with me on this, but I think one of the major problems people don't get themselves involved in repairing and refurbishing homes because they're afraid to put the money into it. They're afraid to have to spend a lot of money and not get any return out of it. And I mean, what do you think, Eric? I mean, I feel like that's the fear that a lot of people are having, and they don't understand that could really be beneficial if they actually do find one that need repairs.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. A lot of people, they don't want the headaches. They don't want to do the work. They just want it to be turnkey, ready to go. They want to move in.
They want to be lazy.
Well, and I think too, now I have seen, just like I'll take the neighborhood that I grew up in. When I go over there sometimes, I see homes that have just, had to shut down. They're not finished, they're just there. And I was just like, oh my God, but they were going so strong. They were getting it. They were doing it. They've done this. They've done this. It's pretty much for me, I'm looking like, well, it's almost done. What's happening? And I'm like, okay, so I guess y'all just ran out of money. So could it be that they ran out of money? Could it be that their financing went kaplunk? I mean,
good question.
Yeah, what happens?
When it comes to flipping,
and this was not flipping, this was built from the ground up.
Okay, gotcha. I see what you're saying. It's like basically, obviously for them, they ran out of money. Or sometimes the construction companies, believe it or not, run out of money, they run out of funding and stuff like that. That does happen as well. But what I was going to say is when it comes to flipping, something people need to keep in mind is it does help if you have some knowledge on how to do certain repairs, or if you can partner with people. And we're talking about good partnerships, and I know sometimes that can be hard, but you partner with people that have certain, abilities like, maybe plumbing, electrical, carpentry, because it makes it a lot simpler if you're like flipping. Like for me right now, I wouldn't be flipping unless you're gonna buy it as I got it. Like I got them like, hey, here you go. For just 5,000, I got this price. I got it for 30,000. You give me 35,000. We're straight. You got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna just be upfront with them. I'm not doing that. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense.
But this is my question I want to ask Eric. Now, I know Eric has the skills for that, which is really good because he does have that skill set. But the actual question I wanted to ask Eric, because I've been seeing a lot of this lately, and I'm kind of having an interest in this. And that is flipping land. What do you think about that, Eric? Flipping land?
Land's a little tricky. And the reason why is because you have a lot of things you have to do in order to build on that land. So you have to consider, hey, is there sewer available? Is there electrical available? How am I going to bring water? You have to take into consideration the environmentalists as well, because sometimes, if enough people find out, they could stop construction and make you, get permits or go through a bunch of hurdles in order to start building.
But what about
you mean mud? You mean sinkholes and okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, huh? What I mean is just flipping the land, because I've been doing a lot of reading on it. So it's like I'm not trying to put any property on it or anything. I'm just simply, I found this land for maybe like 10,000 and I just want to flip it like maybe for 15. I'm just use that as an example to just get rid. It's up to the buyer to determine what we call the zoning, right?
Of course.
Zoning, and whether that needs a septic, do they have to add a septic? Is it going to be, all of that? So what do you think about doing raw like that, Eric?
I think it's a good idea, but I think you should still do your due diligence and find out if you could build, because that'll bring value, right? If you took the time and you went down to the city and you found out, hey, yeah, I could bring in electrical, I could bring sewer, I could bring water, then that adds value. So now where you thought, hey, I bought this land for, 10, 15K and you're gonna sell it for 20. Now that you know you could develop it, you could sell it for a lot more.
Yeah. That's
I like
actually makes sense.
makes sense. Basically, the more I find out research wise what can be done with the land, the purpose of the land, and what's able to be done, the higher price I can sell it for. Okay, that's
The
good.
more information, it's called pricing information. It's pretty much pricing the information that you find out. You're giving all these qualification requirements and everything, and people love that. I think, don't you, Eric? People love to know exactly what their land is representing, and I think that's great. I think that's great advice. That's awesome. I'm going to ask. I like that. I'm going to look at some land tomorrow.
I mean, that I've never heard of land flipping, so I learned something new once again.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that, you know, some years ago, I really was thinking about buying some land, and but you know, I just didn't really know that much about it, and I guess I wasn't too serious. I just wanted it. I just didn't want to do the research on it. But you know, that's really something to look into. And of course, you know, you got to cover your, you know, your tail with all these, you know, what is it that you have to get the permits and you know, all of that. So you don't want to step on
The
anybody's
surveyor to
toes
come out.
because, you know, communities are really funny, especially if you're buying land within a community. You know, they're really funny about what goes over there, what's this, what's it going to do, what's it going to bring, is it going to bring a bunch of unwanted traffic, you know, you're all the, you know, and I know all that goes into it. Even sometimes if you're, you know, even when you're buying a home, you got to deal with all of that with the homeowners association, you know, the cans and do's and don'ts and all that. But my question, if someone is in the process, they're wanting a home, they know they want a home, they're coming to you, I want a home. So of course they have to fill out all the paperwork, do the credit and all this. So if everything, when it's time to, in the meantime, do they go look for a home or do you wait and to see how much money they're financed for? How many homes should they look for? You know, because even when I was thinking about it, my goodness, I think I ran into I think I saw 10 homes over that whole weekend. I was exhausted, you know, but luckily it was a friend, you know, and she, but you know, she took us around the, you know, like I say, I know I saw 10 homes between that Saturday and that Sunday. By Monday, I was just wiped out. But how many times or how many homes should someone look at? And how long is that process till we get from start to finish, from start to close?
Okay, so so I always tell those that are looking to purchase a home, I tell them you need to get pre-approved first. Because if you don't get pre-approved, you don't know where you're at, right? You don't know what you're able to buy. Once they get that pre-approval letter, then we could start shopping, right? Because now we're like, okay, this is what you're pre-approved for. We calculate roughly what their mortgage would be, give them a estimate, including their property taxes and insurance. And then I ask them, okay, what do you feel comfortable paying? And then based on what they tell me, then we adjust that number. So say they were pre-approved for, I don't know, 300,000, right? But they don't feel comfortable paying the mortgage on 300,000. 300,000 is roughly about 20, let me see. It's probably less, like 1,700, almost 2K, including property taxes. So they have that number. They're like, you know what? I feel comfortable paying this. So it turns out they're more comfortable with a $250,000 price tag. So at that point, we start looking at houses. We develop a criteria. So, okay, what do you want? Do you want a big lot? Do you want a small lot? Do you want a garage that's attached, detached? How many rooms? How many bathrooms? 2-story, 1-story? Do you care, you know, what kind of roof you have? Are you looking at certain styles? Do you want like Spanish tile? Do you want like something that looks like it's you know, classic,
I'm already
timeless? You want
exhausted.
something newer?
These are just too many decisions for me. But
Hey, it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
winter shopping. You
oh
gotta
my
make sure you
God,
get what you
you
like.
know, my
But
thing is I want a flat, I want 3 bedrooms, a den, a living area. I want a nice spacious backyard, may pool, maybe that just be the cherry on top of the cake, you know, but
How
an
you like your bathroom?
attached garage. I definitely need 3
You
bathrooms.
want a small toilet or a big toilet? You want a little sink or you want a double sink? You want a big mirror or a small
No,
mirror?
it's too much. It's too much. And I know that people pick their own tile, you know, they pick the
Mhm.
countertops and things like that. But by the time that you're done, that you've done all of this before you've gone to look for the house, so you know what house to show them.
right.
Exactly. So at
Yeah.
that point, we
Do
have
you
the
want to sit in
criteria.
the shower
We
or want to stand
put it
in
in
the
the
shower?
system.
But
Top is top list.
Everything matters.
going back to what you were saying earlier, Rhonda, when you were saying that houses, right? If you get that information, like if Erick's getting all that information about what you want, then you really don't have to look at 10 houses. Like if Erick's locking down all that information, you know, he's getting that information from you. He should be able to show you about 3 or 4 homes and you make a decision. Wouldn't that be pretty much accurate, Erick?
Yeah, yeah. Usually that's how it works. I'll have the criteria locked down. I'll be like, hey, these are the houses that meet your criteria. Do you want to go see them? This is where they're located. This is how much they cost. And then from there, they'll go and look at the list and be like, you know what? I'm interested in these two because you know they'll be able to see pictures and know the areas, and then
Right.
we'll go check it out.
So
And
from start to finish, like I say, from start to
mm,
close, how long is that particular process from beginning to end? From the time that they're pre-approved, you know,
mm.
to their closing date?
So it varies on the individual, but from the time you submit an offer to close, it could be anywhere from 14 to 30 days.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad. That's
Wow,
not a bad turnaround.
that's not
You
bad
know,
at
that's
all.
not bad at all. Well, okay, I'm gonna shift this back because I really want to ask this question because of course, you know, we're all, I mean, you know, people who listen are in various degrees and stages of their lives. But if
Mhm.
someone wanted to invest, I mean, they're new to investment, you know, I muted myself. They just kind of want to just stick their toe in the investment waters. Now, what would you recommend, or where would you recommend they should start? I know we've talked about fractional shares, which is definitely where I started, but what would you suggest or y'all suggest?
I I personally definitely suggest they get a Fidelity account because you can do fractional shares on Fidelity as well. But the reason I bring up Fidelity is because Fidelity does a lot of educational courses to help out people that are new to investing, and so you can actually learn. You know, while you're on Fidelity, they give like a lot of information. They do like a lot of webinars. And then the another thing to look into as well is there's an app called Acorns, which Acorns will pretty much invest for you. They'll ask you a couple of questions about what you're trying to do, and then whatever money you put in with them, they're going to invest for you. They also have an option where you can get a few. Now they did this just recently where if you want to invest in a couple of stocks, they give you the option like 30% stocks and the remainder where they invest for you. Or if you're like really new and you're like, you don't want to worry about it, you want to set it and forget it. Kind of like what Erick was talking about earlier when he was talking about, you know, SPY, the different index funds basically. So what Acorns does is they invest in like a lot of the Vanguard index funds for you. And it does add up. You'll be
Oh
surprised
yeah.
how it adds up. So that's something that you could do too, just starting out. You could do that. But I still, again, say set up a Fidelity account. It doesn't cost anything to set up a Fidelity account. and you can learn a lot about investing. Just having a Fidelity account, and you can get fraction shares off of that too as you're learning and growing and getting, more comfortable with what's going on. And then just remember, don't forget Investopedia.com, where you can do paper trading. And go ahead, Douglas. I'm sorry.
Oh, I agree with you, baby. I mean, honestly, guys, I be honest with you that all these ways of investing is a very good commodity. It's like stepping stones. You want to start small and build yourself up, because real estate is going to be the big industry. Like what Eric does is the big industry, is where you want to be at after you actually build you up and get a momentum for yourself. The foundation has to be built first. Just like a house, you got to build a foundation before you can build a home. And so how you doing is like my wife just got through saying, take that money, invest it in small increments of places like dividends, fraction shares. You want to keep away from the individual stocks if you can't afford it. Or if you're going to go to individual stocks, you want to buy them in dollar amount. Don't do it in whole dollars. Do it in dollar amount. Put what you can invest in. Let that grow. Let the dividends return. Let the reinvestment happen. Build a foundation first. Once you build that foundation, then take that next step and invest into real estate, something major. But don't invest too large too quickly until you actually build a foundation first. So take your time, no rushing. Just put what you can to invest in. And like my wife was saying, dividends, fractional shares, and dollar amount of whole shares if you want to buy it. But let that be your stepping stone. Start from there and raise yourself up the ladder slowly.
Yeah, and the thing that I want people to understand is investing in the stock market as well as real estate are two known ways to build wealth. And if you're making a significant amount of money, as long as you're doing the proper and research and everything, definitely invest more. There are people that there's lots of people retiring early just because they invested a lot in the stock market. It's true, but again, when you're investing, think about that you are buying companies, and make sure that you're doing your thorough research. I just mentioned some of the things that I mentioned because obviously everything's a learning curve. So that's why I mentioned Fidelity, because it does give you a lot of great information to help you out. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I'm evolvingalways. I'll be happy to help. But yeah, if you have more money, if you can afford to get the whole shares, definitely get the whole shares. It's only going to help your money to grow faster. And this is where I'm going to go ahead and throw in compound interest. I mentioned it earlier, but like there's like interest and then there's compound interest. So let's say you have an account where you just get simple interest. And let's say you have 10,000 in that account and it's just simple interest. So after 30 days, you get like $500. I'm just using this as an example. That's the interest you get off of it. So then it's 10,500. Then the next month, you're going to get 500 again. So then, you get another 500. And then you get another 500. But it's simple interest. That's all it is. With compound interest, the difference is 1 month you're going to get 10,500. The next month it'll be, and I'm doing this without a calculator right now, but we'll say 575, 10,575. The next month, you're going to be getting the interest off of the 10,575. Do you see the difference? So you're getting interest on interest. Think about that. So not only are you getting interest on the money that you originally invested, but you're getting interest on the money that you originally invested along with the interest. So money grows really fast. And just like, for example, let's say a person at 22, they invested, like heavily for 6 years, and then they stopped. And then a person 30 started investing and they kept on investing. Who's going to have, the most money at a certain time period? It'll still be the person that invested at 22 and stopped because of the compound interest. That's how important compound interest is in regards to when you're investing in the stock market. So that's something to keep in mind. So the longer that you can be in, the better. But and the other thing to keep in mind is there was one time, you know, some people would be like, well, the older you are, you don't have to be, you know, as aggressive about investing. But you do have to kind of now, because people are living longer. People are living a lot longer now than they were at one time. So you want to have some money, obviously. So really, it's never too late to invest. Obviously, if you're young, I really recommend you go ahead and get into it now. If you have children, invest, you know, for them now, because like I said, that compound interest really does grow and really makes a difference. I just wanted to mention that. And I hope that was kind of clear on the compound interest, if that made sense to everybody.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
glad that you brought it up because I think sometimes even myself, who reads any and everything, I still get kind of confused until someone explains it like you did, and you're like, oh, okay. So I did not open a Fidelity account. I wonder why my friends didn't mention that to me earlier. But
What happened was,
but riddle me that. But that's something I'm gonna look into. I actually started out with Stash. Acorn snatches my coins every time I turn around, but I mean, that's built up really kind of nice. But I definitely am interested in doing something with Fidelity. I'll have to look into it and see what all if
yeah,
that's gonna work for me. It should.
yeah, because I've been in Fidelity. I've been in Fidelity probably going on 53 today. So I've been in Fidelity probably about 22 years. Yeah,
Okay.
and I was working at a company called Collins and Aikman, and that was in Farmville, North Carolina. I was probably about 20 something then when I started out Fidelity, and I got my first experience because they have a 401k there.
Yes,
And
they
so
do.
they were putting my money into it, and this was a
Mm-hmm.
knitting plant. So I started out pretty young with it, and I learned how how many benefits that Fidelity had to offer over a lot of other companies that deal with financial investments.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned how they actually a lot more accurate with the stock market, a lot more accurate with the figures. They help you finance. How they call you, their customer service much better. And I saw why now they was one of the number ones in financial investments in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I just always been with them ever since. And every company I go at, anywhere I do something, I always ask, who's your 401k? Who's your investment account? Because I
Mm-hmm.
want to know they with Fidelity.
Right,
But
right.
Fidelity is a teacher. They'll
It
teach
is. It is.
you.
My daughter was with Fidelity when she was working for actually Neiman Marcus. When she
That's
was working for them, she was in Fidelity, and so I am familiar with it, and things like that. But I just never even thought of. I'll just have to look into it for myself. And then I'll have questions, so y'all just answer.
There
yeah.
you
I
go.
say this, Ron. Yeah, good question. The reason why I didn't promote it earlier on in our friendship is because Fidelity was still charging commission fees.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, charging commission fees for a while. Robinhood, of course, forced a lot of the brokerage companies to stop charging commission fees,
Mm-hmm.
but Fidelity was charging commission fees. They were charging Fidelity and Ameritrade, because I've got accounts with both of them, but they were still
7.99.
like fees. I think it was $5 for each trade, and then both of them were not doing fractional shares. So it was kind of
No.
like that's why a lot back in the day I did not promote Fidelity, because I knew for some people it wasn't the best fit at that time.
Right. Right.
I definitely talk about it now because they finally got on a bandwagon because they realized, hey, we're gonna keep losing customers to
Yeah.
Robinhood for that if we
Because
don't do
Robin
this.
Hood definitely does not.
Yeah,
They don't roll like that.
right.
Well,
And I did something else really quick on Robinhood, and I apologize
oh
now.
no.
But Robinhood right now, though, is the only brokerage company that if you get a Roth IRA or just a regular IRA, either one, they're actually doing a match. So like if you don't have a plan with them, because they do have like a $5 plan, but if you don't have a plan and you just like zero, month, whatever, they do a 1% match. So, like if you're putting in, whatever amount you're putting in, they're putting in a 1% match to that. And they're the only brokerage company that's doing that right now, which I don't know, depending on how successful that is, they may force other, brokerage companies to do that as well. But if you pay for their plan, which is just $5 a month, it's like a gold plan and they give you other benefits for that plan. Then they do a 3% match on a Roth IRA or a regular IRA. I just wanted to throw that in there for Robinhood because they're the only ones doing that right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. I'm going to try to have some information in the description down there about you guys, links or anything like that. Erick, what would just a recommendation? I mean, you've given us so much to go on today because I've learned so much about, from start to finish and everything in between. I learned about land flipping. Oh my goodness, I didn't know anything about that. As always, and I've said this before, I've always wanted a fourplex, and maybe not necessarily for me to even live in, but for my daughter, my granddaughter, and then someone else. Not that they will be living rent free because y'all gonna pay me, but but
Damn skippy.
yeah, I love you, but you're gonna have to give me some coins. But and then maybe just rent it out the other space to someone, the other couple of spaces to someone else. But be that as it may, where do you think or someone should start, or the best investment for someone starting out as far as duplex, fourplex, or anything like that? Where do you think that their money would be best served to starting out?
I would suggest getting a fourplex. That'll kind of give you that experience, how to be a landlord, how to manage a property, or who knows, maybe you don't want to be involved whatsoever, and then you have a property management company do it for you. But that's what I would suggest. I would suggest getting a fourplex and starting there. Uh, your entry point, if you decide to live there, would be low because you could get a conventional loan and just put down 3%, because you're gonna live there. If you don't live there though, you have to put, I think it's 25% because it'd be considered an investment property.
Oh my, I might need to think about living there. I don't want to live that close to them though, so I probably not. But but I think that that's a great idea. I've always loved it. Even in the neighborhood I was growing up, like up the street around the corner, we had just a street that had nothing but duplexes, fourplexes, and things like that. And I was always interested in them because I was like, that'd be a great idea. You can live on one side, I can live on the other. We talking friends. You know how you do when you growing up. You think you're gonna live together eventually.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that, I mean, it's always something that's been in the back of my mind about doing, and I'm really wanting to do something like that. And with all this investing that I'm trying to be what is it, consistent with, then who knows, that may eventually happen. I may could take some of that and get a little fourplex. But when you go into that, then you also have to think about, and this is what I think about when I think about buying a home, or I think about anything, like that, is that you have to think too, not just about your down payments, your closing costs, or whatever all that paperwork, is that you still have to think about the extra bills that you're going to be accumulating, because you got your, you have, all your overhead, you got your electric, you got your water and gas, or, whatever, whichever one, but
Yeah.
I think that you should always incorporate, you can't always know what it's going to be, but I think that you can research and see around the neighborhood that you're in, kind of what those, how those prices fall in. I mean, is that something that you recommend to people, or do people ask you about that?
Yeah. So I would recommend either, well, you could do a couple of things. So if you're already working with someone, they could request it's like a report that shows the maintenance and cost. I think it's a profit and loss, a statement, and then you'll be able to see everything, how much rent is coming in, how much you're going to spend on utilities, uh, everything that it takes to run that, because it's considered a business. So everything that you be required to run the business. Now, there are certain units that do have separate meters. So then you wouldn't be responsible for electrical, you wouldn't be responsible for gas. The only thing you'd probably be responsible for would be trash and and possibly water if the water meters aren't split. Landscaping, anything that in terms of maintenance that has to be done to the common areas. Everything else, the tenants would be required to maintain and pay for.
Right.
So there's a yeah, there's a couple ways you could request that, or you could go down there and talk to the neighbors and say, hey, I'm looking to possibly purchase a home here. And, I was just curious how much do you pay, a month for gas, or how much do you pay for water? Um, you could check your bill, how much you consume, and then, multiply that number by 4 units. You're going to be, getting 4 units. You're like, okay, well, 4 times that should be enough for water. 4 times that should be enough for electrical.
Yeah, because they would solely be responsible for those things. But, that's why I'm thinking, when people set out to do that, that's good information to find out. It's just a kind of
Mhm.
a roundabout figure of the pricing in that particular neighborhood. Because like I pay X amount of dollars in rent, but I can go like up the street around the corner and somebody is like 2 times higher than what I'm paying. And
Yeah,
it's crazy how, that happens, like less than 5 minutes away, somebody's paying double what I pay.
yeah,
And it's just so crazy. That's just the way these things are going these days, I guess. Well, I mean, I really appreciate all of you. I think I've really actually learned, and I'm probably going to have questions. So, I suggest that if you're listening, watching, if you have questions about investing, if you have questions about, you know, um, real estate, you're looking to buy a home, you want to know about a program, because we really didn't get into a lot of the programs that are out there, but Eric, and Terry gave us a couple. So, just put your questions down below and they will be happy. Now I can't answer anything, but they will be happy. They will be happy to answer any questions that you have. And again, you can find them on Instagram, and I'll have all their information down below too. So to my friends and my new friend, yes, ask me about real estate, Erick G. It kind of sounds like you should be singing us a song with that, right, Erick G? But
I've learned a lot of stuff from Eric tonight because I wasn't aware of a lot of the aspects, and that's very good info. I'm definitely
right.
I'm definitely I was jotting them down on my phone on my notes at the same time, so I'm
Oh,
gonna look. I'm definitely gonna use it.
well, and I'm telling you, definitely follow Erick, because look, he gives us a lot of great tips. He gives us views inside the homes. Some are just amazing and some need a little work. But
I know.
he always asks our opinion, and of course I'd never fail to give it. But it's fun, it's great. His page is awesome, so definitely follow him. And of course, Evolving Always and Staying Beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's his birthday. So if you're watching this, still tell him happy birthday in the comments. So again, thank you so much. I'm Rhonda, PinkDivaStudio. Thank you for listening to Bold Voices. And until next time, I love you like I love tacos. Thanks, y'all.
yeah.